Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
This probably won't come as a shock, but in a recent poll we did on Instagram, an overwhelming amount of you found clowns just downright creepy, with the exception of one person who we are all somewhat familiar with here in our creepy corner of chaos that said clowns are cool.
Yeah. Hi. It was me. Hi. Why do we all hate clowns so much? How long have they been plaguing our nightmares and scaring us on TV shows and movies? So the reason I went down this rabbit hole is because I recently watched the first two Terrifier movies, since all of the hype of the third one being released, And if you listen to any of our Wicked Wednesday episodes, you know that I'm not an easy person to scare. I giggle and get all excited like a freaking weirdo, but it's fine. I'm fine.
I actually don't know why I hate clowns so much. Like, apparently I did go to the circus when I was really little. I guess I don't remember it. Mm-hmm. But my mom did say there were clowns, and I was not a fan.
Not okay.
So maybe that's why I don't remember it. It's just like been blocked out of my memory because it was like a terrifying moment. But I think it's just because every clown that I've ever been around or had any sort of experience with was like it was a scary clown. And so I never had an experience with like a birthday party clown or one of the fun clowns. Like I never experienced that. All of my life, moments were with scary clowns. So I think that's probably why.
Yeah, I definitely think my upbringing has a lot to do with why I think clowns are cool. So long story short, when I was about 4 years old, my grandmother, who also happened to be my favorite person in the world, was a clown. She legitimately dressed up and did kids' birthday parties, and I even dressed up and joined her. I really searched for the pictures of like fetus Amber dressed up in the clown getup, but I couldn't find it.
They gotta be somewhere.
They're somewhere. I just remember it being a whole lot of fun and was always super excited when I saw Mamaw dress up as Dottie the Clown, which, if I recall correctly, was her clown name.
And honestly, it really makes sense why you would have such a fondness for clowns, because your grandmother was a clown and she was your favorite person.
I have
a
positive association with it.
And I don't think many people can say that.
No, but that doesn't really explain the fact why like the creepy clowns really get me excited.
I don't know. I bet there's some
may be something there.
Yeah. As Amber asked earlier, why do we all hate clowns and how long have they been around? Well, join us today as we touch on the history of clowns and share some of the more famous or infamous clowns in movies and real life. But before we get started, here's our riddle for the day. You are walking the streets at night when you come across a clown. He tells you the following: if you tell the truth, I will strangle you. If you tell a lie, I will chop off your head. How do you get out of this situation? Stay tuned to the end to find out the answer.
Okay, we won't go too in-depth in the history, but believe it or not, the earliest clowns date back all the way to like the 2500 BC, where unusually short clowns, I'm pretty sure I saw them referred to as pygmies, were used to entertain the pharaohs of Egypt. Throughout the world, there was even a clown that ridiculed an emperor in imperial China for wanting to paint the Great Wall of China. In ancient Roman and Hopi Native American societies, clowns were more known for breaking up serious settings by acting like the fools that we usually associate them with now. Clowns of ancient Greece were bald and wore padded clothes to appear larger, where in ancient Rome, they wore those cute little pointed hats, you know? Clowns remained entertainers and royal courts employed to make the kings, queens, and the like laugh. In the Middle Ages, the royal court entertainers became known as court jesters. I would have loved to have been a court jester because they were allowed to mock the monarchs and nobles of kingdoms without suffering any severe consequences, like death. The best way to describe the difference between a clown and a jester is a clown makes a fool of himself and a jester makes a fool of the audience. One of my favorite variations of clown is the harlequin, which appeared in Italy in the early 17th century. The harlequin is a more sophisticated character who represents a combination of romance, humor, sadness, and entertainment, as opposed to the clown's mischievous and slapstick humor.
Yeah, the harlequin sounds cool. I love
the harlequin. And of course, it's, more associated like black and white too, so it's kind of my thing.
Right up your alley. Well, the modern day clown has been around over 200 years. The father of clowns, Joseph Grimaldi, was among the first to perform professionally on stage in England in the very early 1800s as the clown Joey, known for his slapstick humor and tricks. He would jump around through the air, stand on his head, and fight himself with his own hands in performances. Joseph originally designed a white-faced clown in 1801. It had its face and neck covered with white makeup, its mouth painted with a grin, and black eyebrows. Still sounds terrifying to me. His clothes are extravagant, and he is a sophisticated character, having the highest status in the clown hierarchy. Yes, there's a hierarchy. Like the one I just mentioned, there were standard types of clowns developed over time. The character clowns are parodies of different types, like a butcher, a baker, a policeman, a housewife, or a hobo. Here in North America, the hobo, the tramp, and the bum were developed and probably easily recognizable today. The hobo travels and has no luck, but a positive attitude, while the tramp is the same, but without a positive attitude and is always sad. I feel like I would be the tramp clown. When Grimaldi's version of the clown took hold, clowns disappeared more or less from the theater and into the circus. Matthew Sully was the first circus clown in the United States. He was a harlequin, tumbler, and singer in Ricketts Circus, and clowns fit perfectly into the circus scene.
Another thing I always wondered was where the term three-ringed circus came from, as my household was commonly referred to as such. Basically, the term comes from a circus where there are three separate rings where performances take place at the same time, hence why it is generally applied to something described that is chaotic, confusing, or wild. Yeah, no, that definitely fits the bill of my house, now and back then.
Same, yeah.
I personally can't recall going to a circus myself, although I'm sure I did, but I can still easily imagine the clowns acting crazy in one ring, causing chaos, while the other performers did their thing in another. Oh, before we move on, there is one other type of clown that I have to bring up, especially considering what our last What the Fuck Wednesday was about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go check that out. Believe it or not, funeral clowns were once a thing. A very long-standing tradition in Europe. In the classical period of Greeks and Romans, a funeral clown dressed up as the person that died, wore a mask of his face, and danced about imitating him. As the funeral procession made its way, the funeral clown would run around the coffin with the other clowns in order to make the grieving family laugh. The Romans believed this would not only bring joy to the living, but also placate the spirits of the dead. It's probably not going to be surprising to learn that this is still something practiced here and there today. And this may or may not have me rethinking how I want my funeral to be handled as well.
Amber, I swear, if you have a funeral clown dressed up like you with a face like yours running around, I will leave. Like I'm really sad about this, but I'm out. This is where I draw the line.
Duly noted, my friend.
Oh God, that's terrifying. Nope.
I'll have special instructions for them to come over and give you a great big ol' hug. You'll be screaming and crying, huddled in the corner.
I'll go straight to an asylum. Just straight there.
If I haven't driven you there beforehand already, you know.
That definitely would, yes. If my kids don't do it, a funeral clown would. So all of this, the jokes, the entertainment, the makeup and characters, clowns sound like a fun, entertaining time, right? So why are they so widely hated? Well, up until the 19th century, clowns' performances weren't exactly kid-friendly. Our homie Grimaldi made his shows for adult entertainment. He made it very apparent during his performances of the struggles that he had been going through. He had an overbearing father, his first wife died in childbirth, and his son, who was also a clown, died of alcoholism at the age of 31. Oof. In 1836, a French clown by the name of Jean-Gaspard Deburau struck and killed a boy who heckled him about his clown character. Hello, popularization of a killer clown. Circus clowns were even described by critics during this time as reminding them of patients in an insane asylum due to their seemingly psychotic behavior. It is thought by some that the fear of clowns equates the fear of strangers, saying that the mystery of a clown's true identity behind their costume creates suspicion. I could see that. Adults with a fear of clowns, or coulrophobia, state they fear their inability to see emotions on the faces of clowns because of their face paint, even though the idea behind the face paint of clowns was meant to make them more visible from a distance and highlights parts of their faces to exaggerate their expressions by applying color accents to areas of the face that move the most. As I said, we're only touching the surface of all of this, and we could go on and on. But that leads us up to the more infamous clowns in fiction and, well, the nonfiction of our lives.
John Wayne Gacy. There's a name that you should probably recognize, and if for some reason you're blessed enough not to know who this dude was, let us enlighten you a small bit. And I do just mean a small bit, because the killer clown, as he was dubbed, remains as one of the worst serial rapists, torturers, and murderers in U.S. history. And we could be here for hours recounting all the horrible shit he did during his reign of terror. Can definitely say for sure, though, it was a bad time to be a male in the late 60s and 70s in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Gacy gained a reputation as a respected community member who is known for dressing up as Pogo the Clown at local events and parties. But this seemingly upstanding persona only masked his really fucked up crimes. You know, he had even been married a couple of times and had 2 kids. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He lured many of his victims to his house under the guise of job offers or hangouts, as he had converted his basement into a spot where he'd provide alcohol and other things.
Mm-hmm.
When they got there, they would get sexually assaulted, tortured, and strangled. Dude buried most of his victims in the crawl space of his house, for crying out loud.
It wasn't until 1978 when a teenage boy who was reported missing was linked to Gacy by police, leading to the excavation of his house and the discovery of many of his victims. 26 bodies were recovered from under the crawl space in his house, 3 more from other areas beneath the house, and 4 more from nearby rivers because he ran out of space under and in the house. Can we say fucked up? God, what a horrible person. Gacy eventually confessed to killing about 30 people, all young men and boys. His trial began in February of 1980, and since he confessed, the arguments were focused on whether or not he could be declared insane. Certainly seems insane to me. He spent hours with doctors and underwent a series of psychological tests where he tried to argue that he had multiple personality disorder and his mind was split between the personalities of a contractor, a clown, a politician, and a police officer, and he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. The prosecution argued that he was sane as he took elaborate steps to both prepare for and conceal his murders.
Yep.
Ugh.
On March 12th, 1980, after only a short jury deliberation, Gacy was found guilty of committing 33 murders. While imprisoned, he took up painting and even had them shown to the public at an exhibit. Many of them depicted him as Pogo the Clown, and years later, several of them were auctioned off. Gacy's execution date was set for May 10th, 1994, and he was executed by lethal injection. To this day, some of his victims remain unidentified, sadly because these victims may have never been reported missing by their families as they were estranged. So sad. There's still a website up dedicated to finding the identity of the remaining victims and has, if you think that your loved one went missing during this time period in this area, submit your DNA to have it tested to see if we can verify. So sad.
That's just devastating. And didn't what's his name? The Gainesville Ripper, remember they tried to write the book and get funds for it and they were denied and had to pay restitution. I feel like they got in trouble for that because of a law that was passed after Gacy was making these paintings
money
and
off of the
selling
paintings.
them and making
Mm-hmm.
making money off of it. So
but would those paintings, he didn't technically, he's not making any money off of something of his crimes. He's making money off of a painting, and he didn't do the crimes as Pogo the Clown.
Yeah.
He did him as his regular fucked up old self.
Oh, totally. I think the whole thing is you're in prison for committing murder and stuff. You can't be auctioning off shit and making money. I think that was it. I don't know. I'd have to look into it further, but I feel like he had something to do with the laws that got put in place there. Anyway, it's fucking crazy. He's crazy pants. God, it would take I feel like it could take months to really dive into that case and look into everything that he did. And
it would probably be a whole almost year-long series of nothing but Gacy. And I'm sorry, I cannot talk about that crazy man that much.
No, he doesn't deserve it.
No.
No, not at all. Okay, well, next up on our list is a more recent killer clown, Sheila Keen-Warren. If that name rings a bell, it's possibly because she was just released from prison earlier this month, where she had been serving time for the murder of Marlene Warren. No, they weren't related. However, Sheila did marry Marlene's husband about 12 years after her death, but let's go back to the morning of May 26, 1990. Marlene Warren was at home with her son and 3 of his friends having breakfast. Her son, Joseph Aarons, was recovering from a broken leg, and when they saw a clown approaching the house carrying some balloons and flowers, they figured it was a sweet gesture to cheer him up. After Marlene opened the front door, Joe and his friends heard a bang, and Marlene fell to the ground. They rushed to her knowing something was wrong and she was struggling to breathe. Joe called 911 immediately as the clown slowly and silently walked to a car waiting out front.
The only key details that they were able to make out through the clown costume were big brown eyes and the white LeBaron the clown got into and drove off slowly, as if nothing had happened. Sadly, 2 days after the shooting, Marlene was taken off of life support and passed away. Joe was able to give the following description to the sheriff's office. The clown was about 6'1", tall, skinny, with orange hair, a red nose, and a big orange smile, and male. When a spouse is murdered, who do you typically look into? The husband. In this case, Mike Warren, Marlene's husband, had an alibi. He was in a car with friends heading to a racetrack when the shooting occurred.
Mike and Marlene had gotten married when Joe was 3 years old, and he said that he thought Mike was a good dad as he was the only father he ever knew. However, at one point, according to Joe, his mother became convinced that Mike was having an affair, and she told him, quote, "If anything does happen to me, your father did it," end quote. But Joe just couldn't believe that. Over the course of the investigation, trying to find out who was responsible since Mike had the alibi, they visited Bargain Motors, which was Mike's place of business, and one name in particular kept popping up: Sheila Keen, a woman people suspected Mike to be having an affair with.
The police attempted to locate local stores that had recently sold clown costumes. At one store, a worker explained that 2 nights before Marlene's murder, a customer knocked at the door at closing time and wanted to see clown costumes, insisting she couldn't come back the following day and needed it right then. The customer paid cash for a clown suit, an orange wig, makeup, and a red clown nose. The police showed a photo lineup of women that matched the description given by the store employee, and she identified Keen and one other woman as the possible customer that purchased the clown outfit.
4 days after Marlene was shot, a white Chrysler LeBaron that matched the description of the getaway car was discovered, and they found orange fibers inside it that were consistent with orange fibers that were recovered from inside Keen's closet. They also found a human hair in the car and compared it to Keen's hair from her apartment, and it was consistent to one another on a microscopic level. All of the evidence was building up to Keen being the perpetrator. However, it was all circumstantial. DNA testing was still being developed back then, so they weren't able to get anything concrete tying Keen to the murder, even with the hair.
Soon, Mike was exposed for fraud in his business and charged with racketeering, insurance fraud, and odometer tampering, where he was eventually convicted of 43 counts of fraud and sent to prison.
Dang.
It's also important to note that the LeBaron in question was connected with Bargain Motors as well, as the police had learned that an employee at the business had stolen the car from a competitor several weeks before the murder. Sadly, over the years, Marlene's case grew cold until 2017. A cold case unit made a breakthrough. The hair found in the LeBaron was able to be traced to Sheila Keen through DNA technology. Now, 27 years after Marlene's murder, they tracked down Keen, and who do they find her married to? None other than Mike Warren.
Oh, man. When Mike got out of prison, they apparently reconnected and got married. Sheila dyed her hair blonde and changed her first name to Debbie, and they ran a burger joint called Purple Cow in Tennessee. One year during Halloween, Sheila also dressed up as a clown, despite rumors flying around that Sheila had killed Mike's ex-wife. On September 26, 2017, Sheila Keen-Warren was finally arrested in connection to Marlene's death and charged with first-degree murder. Mike claimed that the DNA evidence in the case was a joke. The hair found in the LeBaron certainly could have been Keen's, as she was an employee for him at the time of the murder at Bargain Motors, and it was very likely she could have driven the car for one reason or another.
The defense also argued that the police mishandled evidence and it was unreliable. In February of 2020, because of the possibility that a jury could acquit Sheila of the murder charges, the police announced they were not going to seek the death penalty. Her trial kept getting postponed for one reason or another, and things were getting harder and harder to prove without a reasonable doubt that Sheila was responsible. On April 25th, 2023, 2 weeks before Sheila's trial was set, a plea deal was reached. Sheila withdrew her previous plea of not guilty and entered a plea of guilty on a charge of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Since she'd already been serving time in jail since her arrest in 2017, she served 18 months in prison and was released on November 2nd, 2024, with her husband still maintaining her innocence. Jo, at least, finally got some closure after 33 years. And believe it or not, all of that is just scratching the surface of everything that happened as well. Like barely touched. There's so many things left out.
It's just like disgusting to me. I remember this case happening. I didn't realize that she wasn't even charged with anything until 2017. And the fact that she only spent 18 more months in jail, 2017 to 2024 is not 12 years.
No.
It's not 12 years.
But she, good behavior and all of that. But the bottom line is she's a convicted murderer. She has that with her for the rest of her life.
Yeah, that's still messed up that she's back out now and Marlene's son Joe is like, cool, this woman who killed my mom is back out and married to my stepdad, or the guy who I felt like was my father my whole life. That's great.
Yep.
That poor dude. Yeah, so those are just 2 of the real life clowns that have done some heinous shit. Sure, there's more, but we don't want to be here until Christmas. Even though I think Amber would probably be fine with talking about clowns until Christmas, just not their shitty ones.
It's not the shitty ones.
But we can't move on without addressing the freaky clown phenomenon of 2016. Y'all remember that shit? Clowns popping up everywhere, scaring the hell out of people for seemingly no reason? On August 1st, 2016, a photo of a lone clown roaming the Green Bay area of Wisconsin began circulating the internet. Check out our Instagram for the photo in question and see if you remember seeing that yourself. While creepy, it was later discovered that this was a marketing stunt for a short film called Gags, which was released a few years later. I actually don't think that I ever found out that it was related to marketing. That's cool and terrifying at the same time. Great job. It worked.
Oh, but then online clown sightings began popping up left and right and took a scary turn in late August when the police in South Carolina received reports of a person dressed as a clown trying to lure children into the woods. They also received several reports of clowns with white face paint flashing green lasers and enticing kids with large amounts of money. In mid-September, 3 children in Georgia reported 2 men in all-black clothing with clown masks and wigs chased 2 of the children to their bus stop after about 6 a.m. A week later, on September 21st, police in Pottsville, Pennsylvania investigated a claim by a 12-year-old girl who said she was chased by a clown through a park. She told the police that a little boy came screaming through the park after allegedly seeing a group of clowns eating something in the woods. A clown chased them up to the park, but turned back around and headed into the woods again. The clowns returned a little while later and started throwing sticks at them before cussing at the kids. After more clown sightings in South Carolina, Southern Kentucky, Tennessee, and a few other states, the Tennessee Highway Patrol issued a warning to parents to keep an eye on the kids and watch out for anything out of the ordinary.
With Halloween approaching, retail shops across the U.S. began rolling out their Halloween costumes, including an assortment of clown-related costumes and accessories. Go figure. 24 schools in 2 Phoenix, Arizona school districts were named in a multitude of threats posted online featuring a clown image. This prompted about half of the 3,000 kids at a high school to skip class out of fear. I don't blame them. Not long after, schools in Ohio and Tennessee were also targeted by similar clown-related threats. Clowns soon were caught robbing Taco Bells and jumping in front of moving cars and robbing banks armed with explosives. God, clowns, calm down. In early October, a mother in California said she had to fight off a man dressed in a clown suit to keep him from snatching her 1-year-old daughter out of her arms. The same day, a 13-year-old girl was charged in an alleged murder for hire plot involving a clown and her teacher. You can't make this shit up. Wow. And on October 7th, 2 parents were arrested on charges as they allegedly left their 4-year-old child at home so they could terrorize a neighborhood while dressed as clowns. Make better choices. The clowns and sightings were absolutely everywhere. I remember all the clown sightings, but I didn't remember it was that crazy.
Yeah.
God.
I don't think it was as crazy here in Texas because
No,
you'll just get shot in Texas.
exactly. You don't fuck around like that in Texas. They're just going to shoot your ass.
Oh, people started getting fed up and tired of the shit though. Target pulled their clown masks from shelves on October 17th due to scary clown threats reported across the country, and Mississippi, among a few other places, issued a clown ban, temporarily banning people from dressing as clowns on October 20th. Also want to point out, we only covered what went on in the US. There was more shit that happened to our neighbors overseas. It was literally everywhere. Soon, though, the clown sightings fizzled out and became a thing we randomly remember and go, oh yeah, that happened.
Do you ever think about how much we as millennials have been through? Like recessions, fucking COVID, the clown epidemic of 2016.
People wonder why we're fucked up.
For real, like you really wonder why we have very scarily dark senses of humor. Just like, oh man. And the first thing that crossed my mind, it was like, all of these people were talking somewhere. Like there was some chat forum on the dark web or some shit where everybody was like, let's get together and scare the shit out of everybody in the world.
Well, I did leave out, like, there was apparently, like, some rumors floating around online towards the end of it of like, a clown-related purge kind of thing happening right before Halloween. And so people were kind of freaking out about that. Like, there's going to be the fucking purge with clowns. Clowns are going to be killing us all. But it never happened, so.
Wow. Yeah. Don't give those movie creators any more ideas.
There probably was some communication between the crazies, but there was also like the parents that like wanted to just go and terrorize the neighborhood and leave their 4-year-old at home. That was just them jumping on the bandwagon using whatever few brain cells they had.
Yeah, the one that they shared between them.
Yeah, between the two of them.
Great parents, yeah. Well, to round out our clown-filled episode, we feel it's only fair to address some famous pop culture clowns, and just a few, because there are a lot. First up, obviously, Pennywise, the dancing clown from Stephen King's 1986 horror novel, It. Pennywise typically appears as a creepy, vintage-style clown with bright red hair, white makeup, sinister smile, and glowing yellow eyes. Tim Curry portrayed the role in the 1990 miniseries, with Bill Skarsgård taking it on in 2017 and 2019 films It and It Chapter 2. Bill's version gave Pennywise a much creepier appearance with a Victorian-inspired costume. I loved it. Yeah. Fun fact, Skarsgård was actually able to make his eyes drift in two different directions like he did in the films. It wasn't CGI. There's a really funny picture of him and Bill Hader, where Hader had asked Skarsgård what kind of editing was done to achieve the effect. And Skarsgård, standing there in full costume and makeup, responded by saying, "Oh, you mean this?" and leaned forward and did the eye thing, causing Hader to freak out and run away. If you haven't seen that image, check out our Instagram for it. It's a good one.
You need to go look at it.
I'm going to go look at it. Hold, please. Oh, here it is.
It's so good. Fucking traumatized look on his face as he's running away.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love you, Bill Skarsgård.
That is beautiful. I love Bill Skarsgård. Yeah.
Okay. Our next clown is one that we've probably all been hearing a lot about lately. Art the Clown. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that watching the first two Terrifier movies is what prompted me to go down this entire clown-filled rabbit hole. So Art is a silent clown that goes on a horrific and gory killing rampage, played by David Howard Thornton in the recent movies, as he actually did replace the original actor from the original short and everything that he was created in. And he did a fantastic job, I might add. If you're not a fan of gore and violence, probably best to skip those movies, though. Terrifier 3 has grossed approximately $86.8 million at the box office, making it the highest grossing unrated film of all time. That's crazy. That's crazy. But not as crazy as Art is. He's dressed in a full black and white clown suit, which kind of gives Harlequin vibes. And he's got such a cute little black top hat just like strapped onto his head. His face is painted white, except for exaggerated, skinny black eyebrows, black around his eyes, and a wide black mouth. Dude needs some dental hygiene help as well. But one of my favorite scenes from the first movie is when Art is sitting there staring stone-faced in the pizza joint, and he's staring at Tara, and like she's just kind of staring back at him and he's just staring at her. And then all of a sudden he smiles like super, super big. And then he goes on to make some other funny faces, like picking his nose and, you know, doing this little number and whatnot. And then he just stops and goes stone faced, just staring at Tara again. I'll admit, that's creepy. And I am totally here for it. I actually have that picture of him stone faced staring. That'll be on our Instagram as well.
No, I haven't seen any of the Terrifier movies. I'm like tempted, and Corbin's like, "I'm gonna watch Terrifier," and I was like, "Absolutely not." No, I was like, "No." I know they're bad. Another widely recognized crazy clown is the Joker. You probably already know what he looks like in your head without even describing his white skin, green hair, and bright red lips. The Joker is a supervillain from the DC Comics franchise and made his first appearance in the comic Batman on April 25th, 1940. Believe it or not, he was originally planned to be killed off during his initial appearance. And well, we can certainly say that wasn't the case. I'm not like a huge DC comic follower, but I think that anybody that's like our age and has seen any of the movies will never forget Heath Ledger as the Joker. Like he was just so good. And unlike most supervillains, the Joker doesn't have a definitive origin story. The most common story involves him falling into a tank of chemical waste that bleaches his skin white and turns his hair green and lips bright red, and the resulting disfigurement drives him insane. He doesn't have any superhuman abilities and instead uses his expertise in chemical engineering to develop poisonous or lethal concoctions and weaponry. Dude is just bonkers. Yeah. He was originally portrayed by Cesar Romero in Batman the movie in 1966. Jack Nicholson plays him in the 1989 film Batman. Corey loves Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Me too. Me too. I love Jack Nicholson though. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's been too long. I don't really remember it. I would have to go back. And I mean, I was, 4. So I don't know. Heath Ledger, R.I.P., took on the role in 2008's The Dark Knight. So good. Jared Leto's portrayal in the 2016 Suicide Squad was probably the least popular by far. Yes, it was horrible, and Leto is a piece of shit, which is why he was not in the second one. Like the director and producer was like, nope, we're done with you.
I'm done with you.
It was awful. Yeah. And it sucks because I didn't hate that movie, but I just don't like Jared Leto. Joaquin Phoenix took on the role in the 2019 prequel film Joker and its sequel. I really liked Joker. I thought it was so well done. He deserved all the praise that he got for it. I have not seen the sequel. I've heard that it is horrible.
I haven't seen the first. I haven't seen Joker.
Oh, yeah. You would like it.
I started to watch it and then, like life, toddler, whatever, fucked up. So I never got to finish it and I just haven't circled back.
If you ever get a chance, it's really he does such a good job and he is fucked up.
Oh God. Okay. The last one we're going to mention today is probably the most widely recognized clown in pop culture, Ronald McDonald. What can we possibly say about Ronald McDonald? He's the beloved mascot of the McDonald's franchise, originally debuted in 1963 on local television spots. His national debut was a couple of years later in 1965 during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, with some spots during the 1965 NFL Championship game. Over the years, it was suggested that Ronald be retired due to childhood obesity, but McDonald's CEO said that wasn't going to happen. They decided to bring Ronald back into commercials, even though it didn't really seem his commercials were that effective. In April 2014, McDonald's announced that Ronald would get a makeover with a new look and new outfits. So there are dozens to hundreds of actors employed by McDonald's who appear as Ronald McDonald in restaurants and events. But it seems there is only one actor they use at a time to portray him in commercials. There are even short animation films, video games, and one movie featuring Ronald McDonald. He's literally everywhere and probably the scariest clown on this entire list, if you ask me. I mean, check out the creepy Ronald photo on our Instagram, and you tell me that's not nightmare fuel. You know the one I'm talking about?
I laughed so hard.
I'd be McFucking scared too.
He is creepy. He is not a friendly looking guy. He's just not.
To be fair, in McDonald's defense, I don't think that was an actual Ronald employed by the company. Just some dude thought that, he'd dress up as fucking nightmare fuel, and those poor kids. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I think that's one of the funniest pictures I've ever seen. Honestly. Oh, man. He's not all that bad, though. In 1974, the first Ronald McDonald House was opened thanks to Dr. Audrey Evans of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Fred Hill, the Philadelphia Eagles owner, whose daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. He and his wife spent countless hours at the hospital sleeping on chairs and eating vending machine food as they didn't want to leave their daughter, understandably. Fred reached out to people who could help, as his family wasn't the only one going through similar struggles. Dr. Evans dreams of a house that could serve as a temporary residence for families of children being treated at our hospital was made possible by their teamwork, and by 1979, 10 more houses had opened. Today, the Ronald McDonald House has grown to over 380 chapters in 62 countries worldwide. That is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And I honestly, before I looked into any of this, I really didn't know what the Ronald McDonald House was. You hear it talked about a lot, but I had never, thankfully, I have never had a reason to know what it was for. I've been lucky enough that I haven't been in any sort of situation that I've had to learn about it. So, but yeah, I thought it's a great idea. It really is such a good idea.
It's true. I mean, anyone who's had to spend any sort of amount of time in a hospital knows how uncomfortable and cold they are. I think I learned about the Ronald McDonald House through, remember when they used to have those 24-hour charity events on TV where they had all the different entertainers and hosts and stuff, and you could call in and donate money. And a lot of it was for cancer stuff and things like that.
No of them, never watched.
My parents would watch them, and so I got stuck watching them.
Oh, I would nope out of the room.
Oh, yeah, no. And so I think that's where I kind of learned about those things, because they would have people that came on and talked about it and how helpful it was for them and everything else. It's such, I mean, McDonald's as a company, McDonald's food, gross, but at least they're doing something.
Don't bash those fries. I will come for you.
Okay, their fries are good, but their burgers have been giving people listeria. So
the rest of it you can keep. Dear God, when I was pregnant, do you know how many baskets of McDonald's fries and unsweet tea I consumed?
Do you keep your local one in business?
I probably did.
Probably. Oh, man. Yeah. Clowns in general. You know what? This has been good for me. It's been eye-opening. I enjoyed learning about the history of clowns and just where they originated from and how we kind of came to know clowns as we do today. And you can see that over time, we as a society, it's what we do. We like to twist things and make them dark and creepy and something that they originally were not. And now I'm oh, okay, I can have a little more of an appreciation for clowns because history is super interesting to me. And so it's no, understanding more about them makes them less elusive.
And that's the thing. Fear stems from the unknown.
The unknown,
if you are, the less you know about something, the more you fear about it. Fun fact, I was terrified of snakes. I educated myself, and I now have 6.
Now you love them. It's funny. It's funny what learning about something can do for you. So hopefully, learning about the history of clowns and all the different types of clowns that exist in our interesting world has given you a new appreciation for clowns. And maybe if we have another poll after, okay, once you've listened to this clown episode, let's do another poll. Do you still think they're creepy? Probably.
Oh yeah, I'll still be the lone wolf saying they're cool.
That was so funny. That was so funny.
Also, fun fact, towards the end of the poll closing, Gina was yeah, no, not a single person said clowns are cool. And I'm I can't let it go down that way. And I went and voted real quick before it closed.
Another fun fact, that was the most popular poll we have ever done. It got the most answers of anything we've ever put up there. And it was about fucking clowns. Oh man, people are very opinionated about clowns. And they are not afraid to tell it. Well, if you have any thoughts about clowns or anything else, you have a listener tale, you have a case you think would be interesting, you have a dumb criminal. We just got somebody wrote into us about a fun dumb criminal. So that was very exciting. So if anybody else has one, please share. We want to hear from you. We would love to know kind of if there's anything out there that you want us to dig into, we are happy to do it. And be sure to go check us out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Weird True Crime. We're also on Facebook. We have the podcast group and the page. We're pretty much everywhere besides Twitter. You can X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You'll find us out there. But yeah, that's all I have as far as plugs and my last thoughts on clowns. Yes.
Yeah. Let us know if you would like us to do a more in-depth coverage of Sheila Keen-Warren's case, because as mentioned before, that barely scratched the surface. Before we say goodbye, let's hear that riddle one more time. You are walking the streets at night when you come across a clown. He tells you the following: if you tell the truth, I will strangle you. If you tell a lie, I will chop off your head. How do you get out of this situation? The answer: you say, you will chop off my head. This way, the clown can't chop off your head because by doing so, he would make your statement true. That leaves him to strangle you, which makes your statement false, leaving you free to go. Hold on, Gina's brain's working. She's still processing. There we go.
Okay,
she got it.
I was like, what? Yeah. Sorry, my brain is tired, y'all.
It's okay.
So tired. You're right, though. I don't think Art would go along with either of those scenarios.
Oh, no.
He would take you out either way.
Art's not going to say shit to you. He's just going to start hacking you or shoot you in the face. It's one of the two.
Neither one of those sound like great options. Something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. Well, until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices. Bye.
Bye. And stay away from clowns. Okay, bye.